I swear, man, this was one of the longest days I've had in a while. You ever had those days where nothing goes right at work, and all you want is to get home, chill with a drink, and just forget everything? Yeah, that was me today. The clock just kept dragging, and my head was pounding by the time I was finally free. I was already in a mood when I left work, and the only thing I had in mind was getting home as fast as I could. Since I was fortunate to be able to work so near my house, I didn't take a car. Instead, I walked back and forth to save gas money. So I got myself a drink on the way home, something cold to take the edge off, you know? I walked the same old route, passed by the same streets, and it was already getting pretty dark. The moon was out, but it was kind of a gloomy night, one of those nights where everything feels off. You know what I mean? Like the air was heavy, and it felt like something was just lurking around. I didn't think much of it at first, just figured it was me being tired and worn out. I kept walking, sipping on my drink, minding my own business, when something caught my eye. There was this woman up ahead, just standing there in the middle of the sidewalk. She wasn't moving or anything, just standing there, facing away from me. At first I thought maybe she was lost or something, but as I got closer, I realized she was wearing something unusual. It was this bright, colorful dress, kind of like those traditional outfits, the ones you see in festivals or something like that. It was Hmong. Yeah, definitely Hmong traditional dress. Now don't get me wrong, I'm not the type to get spooked easily, but something about her just didn't sit right with me. She was standing too still, like unnaturally still, and the way her dress moved, it wasn't really moving with the breeze. It was like she was just frozen there. I slowed down a bit, my eyes glued to her. Something in my gut was telling me not to get too close, but I was already halfway down the street. I kept walking, trying to shake off the weird feeling, when suddenly she started moving. But dude, she was walking in such a weird way. It was hard to describe exactly how. I swear I felt my heart skip a beat right there. My mind was racing, trying to make sense of what I was seeing. I kept telling myself I was just tired, that maybe my eyes were playing tricks on me. But no, this was real. I could feel the hairs on the back of my neck standing up as I got closer. She wasn't looking at me. Not yet, at least. But I knew she knew I was there. I don't know how I knew that, but I just felt it. It's like when you can feel someone staring at you even when you're not looking at them. That's what it was like, except 1,000 times worse. Without thinking, I stopped right there in the middle of the sidewalk. My drink was in my hand, and for some stupid reason, I thought maybe I could just walk past her, like she was just some random person out on the street. But deep down, I knew something was wrong, really wrong. I tried to keep moving, but my feet felt like they were stuck in place. That's when she finally turned around. Oh man, I wish she hadn't. Her face, I can barely describe it. It was like she wasn't even human. Her skin was pale, like she'd been in the ground for way too long, and her eyes, God, her eyes were red, empty, like there was nothing behind them. She looked right at me, and I swear I could feel her stare piercing through me. I panicked. I didn't know what to do, so I did the first thing that came to mind. I threw my drink at her. I know, it sounds stupid, but in that moment I was just desperate to do something, anything, to break that creepy connection she had on me. The drink hit her square in the chest, and for a split second I thought it worked. She froze again, like she didn't know what to do. But then the noise started. Man, I don't even know how to explain it. It was like nothing I've ever heard before. It wasn't a scream, it wasn't a growl. It was like this deep, guttural sound, like something from another world. It wasn't human, that's for sure. The sound hit me hard, like it was crawling into my brain and shaking me from the inside. My body went cold, and I felt my knees go weak. That's when I knew I had to get the hell out of there. I didn't think twice. I turned and ran as fast as my legs could carry me. But you know how it is when you're freaked out. Your body doesn't always cooperate. I wasn't even a couple 100 feet away when I tripped over my own damn feet. I hit the ground hard, my knees scraping against the pavement, but that wasn't what scared me. No, what scared me was when I looked back. She was crawling towards me. Not walking, not floating, but crawling, and fast. Her limbs were all twisted up, like her joints were bending the wrong way, but she was moving faster than any person should be able to. Her face was still twisted in that awful expression, her red eyes locked onto mine. That same awful noise was still coming from her, louder now, echoing in my head. I scrambled to my feet, my hands shaking so bad I could barely push myself up. I ran, man, I ran like my life depended on it because honestly, it felt like it did. Every second I could hear that noise getting closer and I didn't dare look back again. My heart was pounding so hard I thought it might explode. I just kept running until I saw the lights of my friend's house up ahead. I practically threw myself at the door, banging on it like a madman until he opened up. I don't even remember what I said, just that I was terrified out of my mind. My friend opened the door, and I practically fell into their house, gasping for air. I was so shaken up I couldn't even get the words out. My heart was pounding, and I felt like my chest was going to burst. I remember standing there trying to speak, but nothing was coming out. My friend just looked at me, probably thinking I was out of my mind. "What the hell happened to you?" he asked, but I couldn't answer right away. I just stood there staring at the floor, trying to calm myself down. My legs were still shaking, and I felt like I was going to collapse any second. Finally, after what felt like forever, I managed to get a few words out. "There's something out there," I stammered. I don't even know what I saw, but it's out there." I don't think my friend believed me at first. He looked at me like I was crazy, and honestly, I probably looked the part too. My clothes were all messed up from falling, and I could feel the sweat pouring down my face. But I didn't care about any of that. All I could think about was that awful noise and the way she had crawled toward me. "I'm serious, man. You gotta lock the doors. I don't know what it was, but it was wrong," I said, still trying to catch my breath. My friend finally took me seriously when he saw the look on my face. He locked the door and pulled me into the living room, sitting me down on the couch. I was still shaking, my hands trembling as I tried to explain what happened. I was walking home, and there was this woman. She was wearing some kind of traditional dress, and I thought she was just some random person. But then she turned around and her face was like nothing I've ever seen. And she started making this awful noise, and she started crawling toward me. My friend stared at me, wide-eyed, trying to make sense of what I was saying. "Wait, what? Crawling?" he asked, leaning in closer. "Yeah, crawling," I repeated, my voice shaky. She wasn't walking, just crawling, and it was so fast. I ran, but I tripped, and when I looked back, she was getting closer. I didn't know what to do, so I just kept running. There was a long pause. My friend didn't say anything for a while, just sat there looking at me like he were trying to figure out if I was serious. And I was. I've never been more serious in my life. "You sure you didn't just, imagine it?" my friend finally asked, trying to be gentle, but I could tell he was spooked. "I'm telling you, it was real," I said, almost pleading. "I've never seen anything like that before, but I swear to God she was real. And that sound she made, it wasn't human." The room was quiet for a while after that. My friend was thinking, and I was just sitting there trying to get my nerves under control. My mind kept going back to those red eyes, the way she moved, and that awful sound. It was all too real. There was no way I imagined that. After what felt like an eternity, my friend finally spoke again. "Okay, look, let's just stay here for the night. We'll figure it out in the morning. But for now, just try to calm down, all right?" I nodded, even though I knew there was no way I was calming down anytime soon. But I didn't argue. I was just glad to be inside, with the doors locked and the lights on. My friend grabbed me a blanket and let me crash on the couch. I tried to sleep, but every time I closed my eyes, I could see her face, those red, empty eyes staring at me, and I could still hear that noise echoing in my head. I must have dozed off at some point because the next thing I knew, it was morning. The sun was streaming through the windows, and everything felt normal again. It was like the night before had been a bad dream, but I knew it wasn't. I could still feel the terror in my chest, and my legs were sore from running. My friend came into the living room and handed me a cup of coffee. "You all right?" he asked, sitting down across from me. "Yeah, I think so," I said, though I wasn't really sure. I still felt on edge, like that woman, or whatever she was, could appear any second. "You want to go back and check it out? You know, see if there's anything there?" my friend asked cautiously. The thought of going back made my stomach turn, but a part of me wanted to. I needed to know if it was real, if I hadn't just lost my mind after a bad day at work. So, after a little convincing, we both decided to head back to where it all happened. We drove slowly, retracing the route I had taken the night before. My heart was racing the closer we got. When we finally pulled up to the spot where I'd seen her, everything looked normal. The sidewalk was empty, the street was quiet, and there was no sign of anything unusual. But I knew better. I knew what I had seen. There was something wrong with that place, even if it didn't look like it now. I could feel it in the air, that same heavy feeling from the night before. My friend and I stood there for a while, looking around, but we didn't find anything. No footprints, no signs of anyone being there. It was like she had never existed at all. "You sure this is the spot?" my friend asked, glancing around nervously. "Yeah," I said, my voice barely above a whisper. "This is it." We stayed there for a few more minutes before my friend finally suggested we head back. There wasn't anything more to see, but I knew what I had experienced. Even if there was no proof, I wasn't going to forget what happened. From that day on, I couldn't walk down that street again without feeling like I was being watched. Every time I passed by, I'd get this creeping sensation up my spine, like she was still there, waiting, watching me. And no matter how much time has passed, that night still haunts me. I don't think I'll ever shake it, and you know what? I never want to meet her again. That's it for now. I hope you enjoyed these stories. If you did, check out more of my videos on the screens above or visit my channel for even more. Don't forget to subscribe for future updates. Stay safe and take care.